30 or 60 days, which is what you'll probably need to get some results, it's not that long in your overall lifetime.
Yes.
So if you're 50, you might live another 50 years. We're talking about 2 months. So trust the process, see it through, and remember it's a long game.
So, question for you. If someone said, what is your number one piece of advice going through a transition from not being well to being well, what would be their number one bit of advice, or all the guidelines, all the keys, all the strategies? If you said pull out the number one that you coach people or advise people, what would that be?
And well, first of all, let me clarify.
Really?
When you say from not being well to being well, what do you mean? Get a bit more specific.
No. No, what I mean is we have a lot of people who we meet and chat to and we work with who weren't or aren't in the way they want to be. They're not performing the way they want to be. They're not feeling, looking. They're not living the life they want to live. And then they go through a process. They decide, right, now it's time to get well, so I need to get advice. And so I know you spend a lot of time coaching and guiding people. So in your chats with people, if they said, what is the number one piece of advice to help me get through this transition from the lifestyle I lead now to the lifestyle I want to lead and the way I want to feel and look, what's your number one piece of advice? Is that a better question?
Much better.
Very much.
Much better. Do you know, I think that the hardest thing is to give one piece of advice because there's obviously so many. And, you know, I guess one of the things that we do try to do is we do try to keep things simple, because if you give too much advice, it does get cluttered.
It does. Lots of noise out there, isn't there?
There is a lot of noise out there, and I guess that is probably the essence of what I'm about to say, because I think the top piece of advice is trusting the process.
Interesting. Okay. Because people don't?
Well, I think what happens is, and it relates back to what you just said, there's a lot of noise out there. So people set out on a journey to better performance, better health, better fitness, better wellness, lose weight, whatever their journey is, and they've set themselves, you know, perhaps a goal, or you know they've got the end in sight, and they're on their way, and maybe they're working with somebody, so they've researched, or they've got an online app, or they've followed an online course, whatever it is, they've started and they're on this journey, but along the way they're listening to all of the noise. Right, because I think people have this tendency to worry that they haven't chosen the right process, they haven't chosen the right person to work with, they haven't chosen the right online course, they haven't chosen the right app. There are other options out there. Their friend did something different. Somebody else got a result with that coach and not that coach. So that, you know, they're getting bombarded, for want of a better word. And we see, you know, the internet is an amazing, amazing thing, but it also means that we are sitting with trillions of pieces of information at our fingertips. And so you go into Google and you Google what you're looking for, the ketogenic lifestyle, for example, and you'll get pages and pages and pages of information, and it's overwhelming.
Yes.
So I think all of that noise is just coming in, and so people, they want to listen to it, and they might sort of start to deviate, or they might doubt, or they may choose, you know, to go and do something different before they've really got the results.
And what I find also, it's not even people going out and looking for information. If you take Facebook's example, if you join one of the 20,000 different groups on Facebook that might be to do with keto or wellness or breathing or exercise, every day in your feed there'll be comments and suggestions and ideas and hacks and new ways to do things. You don't even have to be going out there and doubting the process and trying to research, am I doing the right thing? You will open Facebook or you'll get messages from people saying, hey, I tried this. This is a much better way to do that. Give it a try. Yeah. And you are proactively bombarded with people's ideas and advice.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's like you said, it's not anything other than there is a lot of information out there. And I guess, you know, if you go back 20 years, and it sounds really old-fashioned to say it, 20, 30 years, when, you know, there was very little information around, and so that you had what we would call trusted advisors.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and you'd have people who, you know, if you were going to work with a wellness coach or a dietitian or an exercise physiologist, or just go to your local gym and do some classes, you knew that the person who was working with you had a certain level of qualification, they had a certain amount of experience, and you trusted them. And they were called trusted advisors for that reason.
I remember being one.
Exactly
and
right.
I remember with my clients, we had clients who came in and wanted a wellness program, an exercise program. We do them a program, and then we give them handouts.
Oh, see?
On that stuff called paper.
Wow.
So they didn't go home to the internet.
Now you sound old.
We didn't give them links and we didn't send them emails. They literally came in their welcome pack, and in their welcome to a new program was a handout on hydration or a handout on stretching. And so I was their trusted advisor. I was their single source of information, and the only information they received was from their trusted advisor via a document. So they didn't go home and research and get bombarded by...
Exactly right. So they got their program. Let's say they came to you for a program. They got their program, and they pretty much follow it religiously.
Absolutely.
And they come and talk to you about it. They say, well, actually, I'm finding that this particular exercise is quite difficult.
Yes.
Or I'm finding this one really easy. And you'd modify the program. You'd tweak it for them. So you'd have that two-way advice going, and you'd be working with them continuously. Now what tends to happen is people would start on that journey. They get the program, then they go and talk to their friends, they Google whatever they can, and they find, oh, well, actually, there's different exercises. Now, at that point, they probably don't come back to you anymore. They go off and they do their own thing, because they think, well, Google knows better than Mike.
Dr. Google.
Dr. Google knows much better than Mike.
Yes.
So, and I can see all this information out there, so I'm going to modify my program, and I'm going to do this. And then they don't get the results they're expecting. And that's because some of the information on Google is good, some of it's bad, some of it's, bizarre, quite frankly, but people don't know what to trust because you no longer have the single source of information, as you said, the trusted advisor. You've got a whole plethora of information. So I think, people really need to learn to trust in the process. So when you've chosen where you're going, and you've got that end in sight.
So this is Lynn's first step.
Lynn's first step is you've embarked on a journey.
So choose where you want to go. Choose your goal. Be very clear on that.
Be very clear.
Because you can't have a process without an end point, can you?
Well,
you've got to have a goal or something you're working towards.
We would say you're going to get the best results if you've got a goal in mind.
Yes.
And sure, you can follow a process. But where are you trying to get to? It's like setting out, it's like going out in the car.
Yes.
A good analogy is I get in my car and I just think I'm just going to have a drive. And that's fine. I can quite happily just go for a drive. But I'm not necessarily going to get to a destination because I'm simply driving for the sake of it. So you can follow a process for the sake of it.
Yes.
Or you can have a goal in sight. And really what we're talking about here is those people who have a goal in sight.
Yes.
So that... their goal might be, I'm an elite athlete and I want to improve my 100 metre running time.
Okay.
I might be trying to lose weight and I'm going to follow the ketogenic lifestyle as my primary means of weight loss. I need more energy. And so you might say, well, how do I quantify energy? Well, I'd like to have energy to get through the day without drinking caffeinated coffee.
Right.
So defining what your end point is, and really being quite specific and really mapping that out.
And I'd suggest that exercise, that process of defining that goal also helps clarify in your mind what your goals are, because you're probably going to set some long-term goals. I want to lose 10 kilos in 12 months, but then you're probably going to have some short-term goals. So you can actually, but the going through that process of actually being really clear on what your goals are, that's got to be a benefit. It's got to be a healthy way of making sure you are setting the right goals for the right reasons, with the right time frame, and all those things that we need to ensure.
It. I think, we've probably all seen the success stories out on Facebook and on the internet of people who are following the ketogenic lifestyle now. And, if you Google success stories, you'll find thousands, which is amazing because it just reinforces how powerful this lifestyle is.
Yes.
And if you read some of those posts and you read our feedback from people that we work with, they'll typically say, I started on day one and I had a 1 year goal, and my 1 year goal was to lose, say, £100. And I wanted to see maybe £2 or £3 in the first month. I wanted to see maybe £40 or £50 in the first 6 months, and then I was looking for that £100 over the course of a year.
Yes.
So they've got that long-term goal in sight, and a year is a reasonably, long-term, but they're breaking it down so that they can have a measure of success. Because if I say I want to lose £100 in a year, it's a long time to wait.
Absolutely.
To celebrate the success.
Yes. You've got to have that the low-hanging fruit, the short-term goals that give you that gratification and the motivation to continue on. So we've defined the goal and we've started making a plan.
That's right. So we've defined a goal. So let's take one of these. Let's take the weight loss because it's an easy example, and lots of people are basically trying to lose weight. So we've set the goal. We set the long-term goal. We've set perhaps a 1 week or 1 month goal, maybe a 6 month goal, and we've then worked out, well, what are we going to do? So we've thought about how are we going to lose weight, and perhaps we've picked ketogenic lifestyle because we've seen that it's got a lot of success. So in terms of the top diets and the top lifestyles, top eating programs, then we know that keto has got a lot of success. So it seems like a good process to follow.
Yes.
So we've picked the process and we've said, okay, so we're going to follow the ketogenic lifestyle. We're going to do that for the next year, but we'll do it for 30 days initially to see what happens and to see if it works for me, because not everything works for everybody.
Yes.
So we'll do it for 30 days. And we then, formulated an eating plan, and we might have somebody that we're working with. So it could be an online coach, like people work with us. It could be perhaps an online program. It could be an app that you're following, some way of tracking your results. So you've worked out, that's my goal, how much I'm going to lose. You've worked out what path you're going to follow, what process, ketogenic lifestyle. You've got yourself some tools to help you track your progress along the way, so the apps or the coaches. And then you set out.
You execute. You start. Trust in the process. You start.
So now trust in the process. Now you might refine it.
Yes, absolutely.
You might tweak it around the edges. But essentially, if you've picked somebody to work with, keep working with them. If you've got a program that you're following, like an eating plan, a diet plan, follow it. Don't deviate from it. Don't after day 5 think, well, I haven't got any results yet.
Yeah, and we see that all the time, don't we?
Ditch that and get another one.
I've been on this, diet, keto, whatever it might be, for 5 days, and I've only lost, a pound or half a kilo, and it's like, of course, it's 5 days. Trust in the process, give it time, and then execute and keep going. And I presume then it's important to do everything possible to minimise those distractions or minimise any way you could be impacted from following the process, because there's a risk.
That's right. So I think you're still going to do your research if that's the sort of person you are.
Yes.
But try and limit how much you're out there, researching and Googling and quest for knowledge, because in that first 5, 7, 30, 60 days, there's probably lots of things going on in your body that are changing. And you're on a journey. So what you've got to trust is that you're on a journey. Things will change day by day. And what you don't want to do is get so stressed that you're getting deeper and deeper into the research and, forgetting to sort of step back and look at the overall results, because sometimes it's the overall results that matter. But I think as well, it's the fact that it is the long game.
Yes.
And we say it time and time again.
But it's very true.
It is the long game. And the problem is a lot of people start out on these journeys and, I get sick of saying to people, this is not an overnight. You're not going to get results overnight, whether it's exercise, whether it's energy levels, whether it's better sleep, whether it is your food, your diet, your lifestyle. You're not going to get an overnight result. You might see overnight successes. You might see improvements. But you are on a long-term journey. So give yourself time and space. Give yourself 30, 60 days, 6 months, a year, and allow the process to play out. And especially, I think, when you're working with a coach, know that they've got these results with other people. Know that they can get results with you. Trust them and follow their advice. Because if you don't, you're not really giving them a fair chance to get results. And because it's a long journey, as I said, you've sometimes got to forget some of the minor details and allow it to play out, and then every month check in with yourself and just see the progress. And I guess I'll give an example. A lot of people say to me, but it's easy for you, Lynn. Right, it's easy for you, look at you look well, you look healthy, you're slim, you exercise, and you've pretty much always eaten healthy and exercised.
Yeah, you're lucky.
And you're lucky. And to an extent that's true. But what you don't see from the outside is some of the things that go on inside.
Oh, I see them.
Oh, really?
I have to work with you, so I see
Don't
them.
think
I've
you
seen
do.
the other side of your
I
personality.
don't think you do. We're not talking about personality
Okay,
here.
sorry. I digress.
But if we talk about, for example, when I started out on my journey, way back, I was on paleo initially.
Yes.
So I did paleo, but I had a lot of gut problems. So a lot of gut problems. I had IBS type symptoms. I was diagnosed with celiac, even though eventually it turned out I didn't have celiac disease, extreme gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance, just a huge number of intolerances. And I was very limited in what I could eat. I had lots of bloating problems, lots of constipation, diarrhea, all sorts of issues going on. Skin rashes, my skin would break out, other allergy symptoms. And that's all going on inside. And when I started my journey, I was paleo initially, I went keto, I saw improvements, saw massive improvements when I went keto.
Right.
But it probably took another year until really my gut recovered. So even though I was starting to feel better, it was another year until I actually sat down and thought, wow, how much better my gut is now, how much better my tummy is, my digestion, how much better my skin looks,
Yes.
how much more energy I've got. Yes, I could see improvements along the way, but they were so gradual, you can't really measure them. It took a year for that to play out. And then even then, it probably took another 6 months for me to find and pinpoint those foods that I didn't really react well to.
Yes.
Because once I got my gut in good, in really good health, I was then able to actually pinpoint foods, and I would eat something, it would react. I say, aha, that one, that's my problem.
Yeah.
So I would say for my, my personal journey, it was 2 to 3 years.
It's a lot of trust. We talk about trust in the process.
It's a
lot
time.
of time to trust that it will improve.
That's right.
And as you say, outwardly people think it's fairly easy, but you have to trust and continue on with it without a change.
That's it.
To get the results you want. And I find a lot of times it's some of the worst people to listen to are some of the closest people to you. Because we all tend to reach out to our friends and people who are close to us and say, I'm on a diet, I'm struggling with it, what do you think? Or I want your opinion. And people want to help, and so they give their own opinion, or maybe you should stop it, or maybe you should change, or maybe you should give it a rest for 2 weeks, or maybe, and everyone means well because it's a friend or a family member, but the advice they're giving is possibly the wrong advice, or just creates that blur and confusion. So one of the tips I have personally is minimize the circle of people that you ask for their opinion and their input, because you are trusting in a process and you're probably trusting in a person and some guidance. So trust in them. You probably don't need input from your circle of friends because you're trusting in a process, and try and minimize that input. Otherwise you will be influenced and you may be derailed.
And I think people have a lot of self-doubt. So when they start off on a journey, especially something as radical as the ketogenic lifestyle is for many people, and we're talking about the ketogenic lifestyle because it's an easy one to pick.
Absolutely.
And it is a radical change. Of everything that we do, it's probably the most radical to go from a carbohydrate eater to a fat eater. It's a shift. It's a huge shift. So many people will be naysayers. They'll say to you, it's not healthy, you shouldn't do it, you'll get high cholesterol, you get heart disease. There's lots of studies out there that say don't do it, is what people will say.
Absolutely.
Don't believe them, don't listen to them. Just, they've got their opinion. Believe in yourself, you deserve it, it is okay, you've done your research, you've chosen your path, your process, you've chosen your advisor and your coach. Trust them, and give it a chance. Because at the end of the day, 30 or 60 days, which is what you'll probably need to get some results, it's not that long in your overall lifetime.
Yes.
So if you're 50, you might live another 50 years. We're talking about 2 months. So trust the process, see it through, and remember it's a long game.
Thank you. Some excellent advice.